Welcome to Pop Flashback. Well, we've got a really cool topic lined up. We're diving into the world of Steve McQueen, Hollywood's king of cool.
It's a fitting title, isn't it? I mean, you look at his career, his persona, and it's just so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, it really is. And what's amazing is how that image he had, it wasn't just something that happened, it was something he cultivated carefully, you know?
Right.
Like, take Bullitt, for example. I was reading that he actually based his character, Lieutenant Frank Bullitt, on a real San Francisco police inspector. Dave Toshi, I think his name, was even down to using the same kind of fast draw shoulder holster.
Yeah, that's a great detail. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
It's interesting how something so specific a piece of equipment can really add to that sense of authenticity and make a character feel more grounded.
Absolutely. And Bullitt, the whole movie, is just such a classic McQueen vehicle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's this independent figure operating outside the rules a little bit, but he's got his own code, you know?
Yeah, the material you sent over about the plot, it's pretty intricate. There's a mob witness, a decoy, stolen money, and Bullitt going rogue to uncover the truth. It's a classic setup.
In the film itself, it was pretty groundbreaking for its time, right? I mean, they filmed almost entirely on location in San Francisco, even used real medical staff in the hospital scenes.
That's right. They wanted to capture a sense of realism that was pretty unusual for that era. McQueen himself said they weren't making a typical theatrical film, but something that felt more real.
And I think that commitment to authenticity, it really bleeds through in the final product. You feel like you're there with Bullitt, experiencing those streets, those chases.
Now, speaking of chases, we can't talk about Bullitt without mentioning that legendary car chase scene. It's a masterclass in tension and action.
Over 10 minutes of pure adrenaline. I read that they spent weeks filming just that one sequence.
And the way they edited it together, footage from different parts of San Francisco, creates this geography that doesn't actually exist, but it just works.
Yeah.
You know?
It's movie magic at its finest. And the cars themselves, those Highland green Mustang GT Fastbacks and the black Dodge Chargers, they've become just as iconic as the film itself.
It's funny, even with all that meticulous planning and effort they made,
Yeah.
there are still a few continuity errors in the chase.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, there's a moment where damage appears on Bullitt's car before it should, and the wheel covers on the Charger, they seem to disappear and reappear.
That's hilarious. I never noticed that. But in a way, I think those little imperfections, they actually add to the realism, make it feel less polished and more like a real event.
It's true. It gives it a kind of raw, gritty energy. And, the editor, Frank P. Keller, he actually won an Academy Award for his work on that chase sequence.
Well-deserved, I'd say. It's not just about the speed. It's about using the city itself as part of the storytelling.
Exactly. San Francisco becomes a character in its own right.
Now, from the city streets to the wide-open spaces of the American West, we got to talk about The Magnificent Seven. This film is such a classic ensemble piece, and McQueen plays Vin Wright, one of the 7 gunslingers hired to protect a Mexican village.
That's right. Vin Tanner, he's a bit of a drifter, a man of few words, but incredibly capable, that classic Western archetype.
And the story itself, it's that timeless David and Goliath theme, right? A small community standing up to oppression with the help of these unlikely heroes.
It's a story that resonates across cultures and time periods, and McQueen's character, he embodies that quiet strength, that self-reliance that's so central to the cool persona.
Did you know that The Magnificent Seven is actually based on a Japanese film called Seven Samurai?
I did. It's a testament to the universality of that core story. It transcends cultural boundaries.
And let's not forget that iconic score by Elmer Bernstein. I mean, that theme is instantly recognizable.
It's true. It became synonymous with the American West, partly because of those Marlboro cigarette commercials.
Oh, yeah, I remember those. So another film we have to talk about is The Great Escape McQueen, an American POW obsessed with breaking out.
It's another role where he embodies that rebellious spirit, that defiance of authority that's so much a part of his cool image.
And the film itself, it's based on a true story, right?
Yeah, although it does take some liberties with this historical facts for dramatic effect. And of course, McQueen gets to show off his motorcycle skills in that legendary chase scene.
Right. It's almost like his personal passions just naturally found their way into his films. He was such a skilled writer, he did most of his own stunts.
Except for that final jump over the barbed wire fence that was actually his friend and stuntman Bud Eakins.
Still an incredible sequence, and it just adds to that image of McQueen as this daring, adventurous figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we should also touch on the Sand Pebbles. This one's a bit different from his more action-heavy roles.
Yeah, he plays a Navy machinist in 1920s China, and he actually got his only Oscar nomination for this performance.
It's a more nuanced character study set against a backdrop of political and cultural turmoil. McQueen's character, Jake Holman, he's a bit of an outsider, focused on his work and trying to stay out of the conflict around him.
It's a really interesting performance, and it shows his range as an actor. He's not just an action hero. He can convey depth and complexity.
Exactly. And even in this more subdued role, he still manages to project that inner strength, that quiet intensity that we associate with his cool persona.
So looking back at all these films, we see the different sides of Steve McQueen, the quiet intensity, the rebellious streak, the physicality, but also the depth and vulnerability. He was a complex figure, and I think that's part of what makes him so fascinating and enduring.
I agree. And his legacy continues to influence how we view leading men on screen, that blend of charisma, talent, and a certain something that you just can't quite define.
And it's that it factor,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, but McQueen had it in spades.
He did. And it leaves us with a question for you listening. What do you think is the most enduring element of Steve McQueen's cool that still resonates with audiences today? Let us know in the comments.
That's a great question to think about. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the career of Steve McQueen. It's been a real pleasure. Until next time, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Catch you later.